Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. So today our group will present about tenses in English writing. But before that, let me introduce myself first. So my name is Fedrian bin Kadan and our group members consist of Brian Malik, Gabriel, Gabriel Ezri and Dexter Jamstron. So the topic that our team choose is natural disaster. But before move any further, what is actually mean by natural disaster? So, a natural disaster is a catastrophic event caused by a natural processes of the earth. This event can cause significant damage to property, loss of life, and disruption of communities. Natural disaster include phenomena such as earthquake, floods, tornadoes, tsunamis, volcanic eruption, and even wildfire. Natural disaster can have devastating impact to our communities, infrastructure, and the environment, often require emergency and recovery effort. Know that tenses can be divided by three, which is present tense, past tense, and future tense. What are these all? So let's dive in. As we know, present tense also divided by four, which is simple present tense, continuous present tense, perfect present tense, and perfect continuous present tense. So, what is actually mean by present tense?
The first tenses that we are going to talk about is present tense. What is present tense? The present tense refers to the action or event that takes place or is taking place in the present. It represents the current activity or the present state of being of the subject in the given context. There are four types of present tense, which is present simple, present continuous, present perfect, and present perfect continuous. Present simple. Present simple is used to describe habits, general truth, repeated action, and fixed arrangement. It is one of the most common tenses in English and is typically used to talk about things that are generally true or happening regularly. The structure of present simple is subject plus verb. Example number one. Tsunamis race across the sea at up to 500 miles, which is 805 kilometers an hour, about as fast as a jet aeroplane. So this first example talking about a general truth. Example number two, the tops of the waves move faster than their bottoms do, which causes them to rise precipitously. This second example also talking about a general truth. Present continuous. Present continuous used to describe action that are currently happening at the moment of speaking, ongoing action, future plans, or temporary situation. The structure of present continuous is subject plus am, is or are, plus verb with ing. Example number one. In the wake of Maoist deadly wildfires, where many died, an historic town, once known as the capital of Hawaii's monarchy, was destroyed. Residents and tourists are reeling from the damage. The first example, talking about a temporary situation. Example number two, many parts of the world is seeing more intense fires because of climate change and mismanaged lands. The example number two are talking about something that is currently happening right now. Present perfect. Present perfect used to describe action or event that have occurred at some point in the past but are still relevant or connected to the present. It often indicates the action has an impact on the present moment. The structure of present perfect is have or has plus past participle. Example number one. Finally, when the plate has moved far enough, the edges unstick on one of the faults and there is an earthquake. From example number 1, the movement of the plate has caused an earthquake. Example number 2, scientists have tried many different ways of predicting earthquakes, but none have been successful. From example number 2, it tells us that the scientists still not successful to predict the earthquake after trying many times. Present perfect continuous. Present perfect continuous used to describe an action that began in the past and has continued up to the present moment or have recently stopped but still have a present effect. It emphasizes the duration or ongoing nature of an action. The structure of present perfect continuous is has or have plus been plus verb with ing. Examples number 1. The Netherlands is the world leader in flood control and has been battling the sea for centuries, and new ways to deal with water are constantly being developed and tested. From example number 1, it tells that the Netherlands has been battling the sea until now. Example number 2. China, for example, has been investing heavily in smart city concepts, the development of which could potentially help control and mitigate flooding and recycle rainwater resources and reinstate degraded environments at the same time. Example number 2 tells that the China has been investing in Sponge City concept until now.
Now we move to the past tense.
Greetings. Moving into the past tense. Past tense have four types, which is simple past, past continuous, past perfect, and past perfect continuous. First one, past simple. Past simple is used to describe an action that has taken place in the past and completed. For the first example is visited our grandparents last weekend. This indicates that we already visited our grandparents last weekend, which is in the past, and completed it in the past. So for the second example is I went to 7-Eleven last night to try the new Slurpee flavor, which is I went to 7-Eleven last night, which is in the past, and to try the new Slurpee flavor to indicate that all the sentence already passed, already done in the past and already completed in the past. Okay, let's take a look at the article example, which is Pakistan experienced some of the worst floods of the century, which indicates that Pakistan already experienced and completed it in the past. For the past perfect, it is used to describe an action that took place and was interrupted by another action. Let's take a look at the first example. I had never seen such a nice beach before I went to Hawaii. Indicates that there is two action here happen at the same time, which is I never seen and when. For the second example is by the time I returned home, she had already left. Also indicates that two actions happen at the same time. Let's take a look at the article example. A tornado had struck Tinker HB on 20 March 1948 without warning, causing $10 million in damage. Now there's also two actions here, which is had struck and causing. For past continuous, it is used to describe an action that happened at the same time as the second action. Let's take a look at the first example. I was walking in the park when a dog attacked me. Indicates that two actions happened at the same time in the past and completed it also in the past. We were watching television when he barged in. For the example 2, indicates that two actions also happened at the past and completed it in the past in the same time. Let's take a look at the article example. The article Quiet Indonesian Woman, a lieutenant colonel in the Tentara Nasional Indonesia (TNI), the Indonesian army, was returning from delivering her child to safety in distant Bandung. Indicates that the woman and the colonel already returning from delivering her child to the woman's child to safety. Perfect continuous. It is used to describe an action for how long it lasted before the second action started. Let's take a look at this example. I had been walking in the park for 5 minutes when suddenly a dog attacked me. Indicates that the first actions already completed, which is been walking in the park for 5 minutes, and the second action just started, which is a dog suddenly attacked me. Now let's take a look at the article example. The increasing number of authors per article suggests that the earthquake studies had been becoming more collaborative in recent years, meaning that the earthquake studies just start and continue to being collaborative to the artists.
The last one is future tense. What is future tense?
For my part of the presentation, I will be presenting future tense. First of all, what is future tense? Future tense is a verb tense that is used to express events or actions that will occur at a later time or after a certain time in the future. There are 4 types of future tenses, which are simple future tense, future continuous tense, future perfect tense, and future perfect continuous tense. For the simple future tense is used to refer to actions or states in the future. The actions and states that were referred to will start and end in the future. The structure of the simple future tense starts with subject, followed by will, and followed by the base form of the verb. There are 2 examples of sentence that uses the simple future tense. The first sentence, we will bring Johnny along to have breakfast tomorrow. In this sentence, we is the subject, followed by will, and bring, which is the base form of the verb bring. And for the second sentence, I will tell my father that I want a new smartphone. In this sentence, I is the subject, followed by will, and tell, which is the base form of the verb tell. In the example from an article, in the Atlantic Basin, a typical season will yield 14 named storms, of which 7 become hurricanes and 3 become major hurricanes. In this sentence, the subject is a typical season, followed by will, and followed by yield, which is the base form of the verb yield. As for the future continuous tense, the future continuous tense is used to represent an action or event that is happening at a certain point in time in the future. The structure of the future continuous tense starts with subject, followed by will or shall be, and then followed by the present participle of the verb. For example, I will be buying some food for us later. In this sentence, I is the subject, followed by will be, and followed by buying, which is the present participle of the verb buy. In the second example, Chris will be celebrating his birthday this Friday. In this sentence, Chris is the subject, followed by will be, followed by celebrating, which is the present participle of the verb celebrate. In the example from an article, University of Massachusetts hurricane hunter Jim Carswell will be flying into the eyes of hurricanes again this year using high-tech weather sensors developed at UMass. In this sentence, Jim Carswell is the subject, followed by will be, followed by flying, which is the present participle of the verb flying. Moving on to the future perfect tense. The future perfect tense is used to represent an action or event that is completed at a certain point in time in the future. The structure of the future perfect tense starts with the subject, followed by will or shall have, and followed by past participle of the verb. For example, I will have finished the lab report by Monday. I, being the subject, will followed by will have, and followed by finish, which is the past participle of the verb finish. For the second example, she will have eaten lots of food by then. She, being the subject, followed by will have, followed by eaten, which is the past participle of the verb eat. In the example from an article, Hurricane Rita over the weekend will have boosted the total to an unknown degree. Hurricane Rita over the weekend being the subject, followed by will have, followed by boosted, which is the present participle of the verb boost. And finally, for the future perfect continuous tense, the future perfect continuous tense is used to refer to an action or event that will be continuing until a certain point of time in the future. The structure of the future perfect continuous tense starts with the subject, followed by will have been or shall have been, and then followed by the present participle of the verb. For example, after the end of this semester, I will have been studying in college for 2 years. I being the subject, followed by will have been, followed by studying, which is the present participle of the verb study. In the second example, by next month, I will have been going to the gym for 6 months straight. With I being the subject, followed by will have been, followed by going, which is the present participle of the verb go. In the example from an article, Lewis clearly admits that in any case, development will have been taking place appropriately or inappropriately, planned or unplanned, successfully or not, for a long time. The subject being development, followed by will have been, followed by taking, which is the present participle of the verb take. We have now reached the end of our presentation on different types of tenses. Thank you and goodbye.